Page 14, Finale. It's one of the melodies in a symphony, the Symphony No. 1 from Brahms. I would encourage you to go listen to the symphony. Just search for Symphony No. 1 by Brahms and you ought to be able to find it. It's gorgeous. I'm going to kind of take the two hands together. I like to approach the videos a lot of times where I talk about one hand and then the other, because you got to learn them. A lot of times you learn it one hand at a time and then you go put the hands together. This thing, the way it flows, it's all melody. So, and it's going back and forth between the hands, so that's why I want to talk about them together. Look at the first line here on page 14. It's all in the lower staff, so we're going to play it with the left hand. And you see the curved line, so it's all connected. It's all legato. It's in 4/4 time, but if you look at the first measure, there's only one quarter note. There's only one beat. But if you look at the last measure at the bottom of page 15, you'll find there's 3 beats. What they do is they take that measure and they split it. And they take what they need and put it at the beginning. So it has what we call a pickup beat, a pickup note, a pickup measure, whatever. They're different names. So when we do it, we come in on beat 4, because the first 3 beats of the measure are this last measure on page 15. So it would be your hand. You put 4th finger on that G, so your hand goes here. And it would be like a 4-1, because you come in on 4. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. You got to connect all those because the line tells you it's connected. Then you'll lift up on it, and then the right hand takes over with the middle C. They don't tell you a finger number. They don't tell you where to put your hand, but I'm telling you, put your thumb on middle C and put your hand here. In other words, the two hands together, you're in middle C position, because middle C, the thumbs are sharing middle C for this piece. So the right hand comes in at the end of the first line, and it's slurred, so you got to connect them. Now you have 8th notes in this first measure of the second line, so you got to go 1 and 2 and. Starting at the second line, there's be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Now watch out. The second measure, dotted half note, gets 3 counts. Remember, the half note gets 2, the dot gets 1. You put them together. Here we go. Yeah, 3. Then you're going to lift up a little bit of silence before the left hand comes in, because it's a new phrase. So it's here, 1, 2, 3. You got to have, well, you're going to leave both hands on the keyboard all the time, so you're okay. So then the left hand comes in, plays what it did at the beginning, same thing, and then the right hand again on top of page 15. Let's look at this. Again, it's a new phrase. So when the left hand finishes that G at the first measure on 15, it's going to lift up right before the right hand plays. So there's a little silence between those notes. Don't connect those notes. We want silence. It's like if you were going to play both of those notes, the G and the C, the last 2 notes in the first measure with the left hand, you would lift up and down, so we get a little silence, like so. That's how you separate the phrases. Well, we're doing basically the same thing, even though 2 hands are doing it. And then second measure, you got 8th notes again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The way the music is written, the last note on the first line is not in any phrase, it's by itself. And that would tend to indicate that you can disconnect it with the next note, because the next note, the first note on the second line, starts a phrase. So to play the last measure of the first line going into the first measure of the second line, it's this way. 1, 2, 3. My tendency is to play that last note of the first line like the beginning of the phrase, so it would be this way. 1, 2. But if you look at these phrases coming up, that is the second line and the first measure of the third line, there's no pickup beat in these. So listen to an orchestra and see how they do it, but technically the way the music is written, it's not part of the phrase. The last note of the first line is not part of the phrase. Now that doesn't mean you can't connect it, because it's not telling you you can or can't. So I leave it up to you. Do you? I tend to connect it, but they're saying it's not part of the phrase is all I'm saying. It's a little confusing. So at the third line down, those first two measures of that phrase, it's got to sound like one hand played the whole thing, and that takes a little practice sometimes. 1 and 2 and 3 and there's a crescendo, so you're going to get louder and louder. You're going to lift up right before you play the A, but the A is not in this position. We've been in middle C position. That's why they circled the A. That's the only reason the circle's there. The circle's not really part of the music. Normally they just give you a 5, no circle around it. It's telling you got to move your hand, so you move your hand up here. Well, you got plenty of rest. You got time to move your hand up one. So now you're in this position. Whatever that is, that's the position you're in. So you're playing the A, and then the last measure of that line, measure 13. And then the last line, 1 and 2, just those are both eighth notes, and that's how they tie eighth notes together when they're on two different stabs and they want to beam them together. That's what it looks like. Looks ugly, it's not ugly. It's just two eighth notes. So it's 1 and 2 and 3, and then lift up because it's a new phrase. And the last note gets 3 counts. Then you can lift it up at the end of 3 and everybody's cheering and applauding because you did a wonderful job. Yeah. There is a rit at the end, next to the last measure at the bottom of page 15, an RIT period, short for retardando, which means gradually slow down. So we do can't do that with a metronome, but when you're playing just yourself or with a duet with somebody, then yeah, slow down. And that's this piece. So let's try it together. A 4/4 time, we're going to go really, really slow. Now the real thing doesn't go all that fast, but we're going to go slower than that. So go ahead and put your hands in middle C position here where the thumbs are sharing middle C. I'll give us 3 counts because we're going to come in on beat 4. So it's like 1, ready, go, and then we go. So here we go. 1, ready, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 2 and 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 4. 1 and 2 and 3. 2, 3, off. Now there's a duet part at the bottom of page 14. I'd like to play that, and you play what you just played. Now I'm going to speed it up a little closer to performance speed. It'll still be a little slow, but it'll be faster than we just did. 1, ready, go. G off.